welcome to Food for Thought. I am really excited about this week's episode because today we are talking about cheese. I feel like cheese is one of those foods that everyone loves unless maybe you're one of those people that's lactose intolerant, in which case, I'm sorry. Today we are talking about cheese because our friend Malachi in first grade asked, where does cheese come from and how is it produced? So today we are going to talk about what is needed to make cheese, how cheese is made, and why certain cheeses end up looking and tasting different from other cheeses. So let's get cheesy. Almost all cheeses start from the same 4 ingredients: milk, salt, rennet, and cultures, or these special microorganisms. Milk is the main ingredient, and cheese can be made with milk from many different animals like cows, goats, sheep, buffalo, or even camels. The second ingredient is salt, which is added for flavor. The third ingredient is rennet, which is a special ingredient, and it's a liquid solution that is made of enzymes found in animal stomachs. It sounds a little weird, but basically they take some cells from animal stomachs and they pull out little enzyme molecules from these cells. Enzymes are these things in our bodies that help our bodies do things faster. When a cell needs to get something done, it almost always uses an enzyme to do things faster. Rennet plays a key function in cheese making because the enzymes in rennet separate the solid particles in milk away from the water particles in milk. Let me explain this a little bit more. Milk looks like it's just a liquid, but it's actually a suspension, which means there are small solid particles just hanging out in the liquid part. The solid particles in milk are the fats and proteins which give milk its flavor. Rennet is really important because it pulls the fat particles out of the water, and this is important because the solid fat particles are what get used to make the cheese. The liquid part, also called whey, can be used to make other things like ricotta cheese. The rennet only works when acid is added as well, which is where the fourth ingredient comes in, cultures. Cultures are special bacteria that are really good for us, and they're also used to make yogurt actually. The cultures convert some of the sugars in the milk to an acid form, which makes the mixture more acidic and allows the rennet to work. If you're unsure what an acid is, think of things that are sour like lemons or vinegar. So, cheese is made from just 4 ingredients, but man, is it a scientific process to make. We started to touch on the process by simply talking about the ingredients, but let's walk through that whole cheese making process. The first step is the milk. Like I said earlier, the milk can be from a cow, sheep, goat, a whole range of animals. The animals are raised on pastures or on farms, and they're milked pretty much daily. The milk is collected in these large vats that then get trucked over to production facilities. Next, the cultures where the good bacteria are added. The bacteria start converting the sugar lactose in milk into lactic acid, which makes the mixture more acidic. We know that rennet needs acid to work, so after the cultures are added, the rennet is then added. The milk starts to curdle and the solids separate from the liquids in the milk because of the rennet's enzymes. The liquid part, the whey, is removed and the solids that are left over are then mixed with the salt. These chunks of milk solids are then squeezed and worked together into a big blob that then gets pressed into molds of different shapes. The molds are then left to dry and set for weeks, months, or even years. After the cheese is done resting for however long you want it to, the cheese is removed from those molds, cut into blocks, or shredded or sold in large pieces to be sliced by someone else. So that's the basic process for making any cheese. What makes cheeses different from one another, so mozzarella versus cheddar versus Parm versus American, is when you change either the type of milk, the type of bacteria cultures, the length of time that the cheese sets, or if you just add any special flavors. For example, cheese made from cow's milk is going to taste different from cheese made from sheep's milk because the two animals make milk with different sugars and proteins, so they're going to have a different taste. If you let a cheese sit for longer, it develops more flavor, which is why Parmesan is harder and tastes sharper than something like mozzarella. You can also add things like diced peppers, cranberries, or seasonings like paprika, which also give cheeses unique flavors. There's just about an infinite amount of different cheeses you can make by using the same cheese making process with slight variations. So that is how cheese is made. It's a long, laborious process that requires time and patience. Next time you're taking a bite of your grilled cheese, take a second to think about the cow producing the milk for that cheese or the factory worker mixing that rennet or the person molding that cheese, solids, and checking on them for months or years? Thank you for your question, Malachi. I loved talking about cheese today with you all. I will see you all back here next week. See you then.